Everybody's on high alert right now. Everybody's rattled, and for good reason. We're invaded by worry, sadness, and grief. The case and death toll mounts. We know the people who are dying, even if we don't know them personally. An uninterrupted barrage of COVID-19 collateral damage, breaking news, lack of money, lack of work, lack of rent, no food, no companionship, school, business, athletics, art. We're lonely and bored and frustrated. We're derailed in our intentions, and our futures are delayed. Still, as the guy in the Westport in the Spectrum ad says when he's about to be walked into the volcano to appease the gods to end the drought, what if we tried something else? What if we got water from the river to the fields or something? That's right. What if we tried now to pay attention to another dimension of this current discomforting situation? What I call the fifth dimension, the dimension where love exists, since love does not exist in space-time. Love exists wherever and whenever love happens. Here, there, everywhere, and anywhere. Where God exists. Since God doesn't exist in space-time, God exists whenever and wherever God happens. Here, there, anywhere, everywhere. Come on, people, let's flip the script. Start paying attention to things that we don't usually see in the space-time in which we typically live. Let's pretend we can see things that no one else can see. I want to give you an example this morning. Once upon a time, along with their mother, I helped our 3 children who were Spanish-speaking to learn English. One of the key methods suggested by bilingual experts at Ohio State University was to read to them a certain kind of book that contained lots of intriguing, somewhat hidden visual cues, which they had to locate on the pages along with repeated words and sounds. One of our favorite books was Only the Cat Saw. What does a curious farm cat see when the sun goes down? The stars come out. All in the family are fast asleep. A barred owl stalking a tiny field mouse. The daughter, Tessa, who was supposed to be sleeping under the covers, reading with a flashlight. Only the cat saw. Farm horses stirring in their corral as they watch fireflies blink in the night air. The cat on his hind legs furiously swatting at them. The burst of a shooting star at 3 a.m. in the morning. Only the cat saw. Mother nursing her newborn baby before sunup. The sun rising on sheep munching grass in the pasture. Only the cat saw. Suppose you and I pretended there was something else to see these days. What if there really is another dimension to see? Another world to see? Could we imagine our way out of this panicky pandemonium of a pandemic? The viral enemy has given us a heightened awareness of science, the value of scientists, and the scientific method. Acquiring knowledge through careful observation, experimentation, and measurement-based testing. Aren't we all praying furiously right now for scientists to succeed in their life and death race to find a vaccine for COVID-19? But did you know that the most well-known scientist in recent history, Albert Einstein, began his scientific journeys by imagining things, that no one else could see. Einstein imagined his theories about how the universe worked long before he could even think of proving them. For instance, Einstein imagined a person standing at a train station and lightning strikes each end of a moving train at the same time. That person sees them instantly, simultaneously. Someone else, he thought, though, is on the moving train, in the middle. So the light from the back of the train takes time to catch up, and she sees it after the lightning that hit the front of the train. Einstein thought time is relative to where you are and how fast you are moving. That's one way he began to imagine his theory of relativity. What's happening in the universe is relative to where you are and when you are. Who knew that would take place when Einstein imagined a lightning strike on a moving train? Just this past Thursday, it was reported that astronomers saw a star dancing around a black hole, proving yet another part of Einstein's theory of relativity 105 years after he proposed it. Which of you is ready to open the imagination window? The window through which we might see our survival as a global human community and in personal relationships. Just suppose we began uniting a frightened world through acts of kindness. What if we started treating everyone like we were walking our children home at night? Imagine starting to forgive every family member, living or dead, who we haven't forgiven as of this morning. What if we started paying close attention to the fifth dimension? That's a lot of what love is, you know. You pay close attention to your relationship with another person. And you love God by paying close attention to your relationship with God. Imagine practicing a fifth dimension intention like that. Normally, on the Thursday before Easter, we have an authentic Passover Seder here at Westport Presbyterian. Not this year. No dancing, no hidden matzah, no next year in Jerusalem. Next year, just in person, please. Barry and Debbie Spirit, we really miss you two beautiful mensches. We miss reading the Haggadah aloud with you. And we also miss that decisive moment in every Seder where we open the door for the prophet Elijah to come in. Because one year, at that very moment, when we opened the door, Elijah actually walked into this room. A homeless person who needed something to eat. All the stories after Easter are what I call resurrection number 2 stories. 2 people are walking along a road to a village called Emmaus later Easter afternoon. The risen Jesus comes up alongside of them and joins them, but they're too distracted to realize it's him. Later at a meal, something happens to change their minds. In an upstairs room where disciples are gathered at night, Jesus walks through a closed door. You may say, well, nobody can walk through a closed door. But a 107-year-old Dutch woman just did. Critically ill with COVID-19, she walked out of confinement in her nursing home alive. What's more, as a 5-year-old, she walked out of the 1918 flu epidemic alive. If she can walk through 2 doors, Jesus can walk through 1 door. Now, you might argue that she was alive and he was crucified. But what if the story is really about the disciples in a confined space, the upper room, realizing that the Spirit of Jesus had come in and was giving them courage and vision just to go on, to leave death behind and create a new future? If you were here with us last week on Easter, maybe you, like me, felt the Spirit of Jesus come through these walls and sit down in the room here, or where you are, as Jennifer Wyman sang, "I know that my Redeemer liveth." Will somebody say an amen with me? Thomas, who replaced Judas as the 12th disciple, he didn't believe he was seeing the risen Christ in that upstairs room. But then something about his wounded appearance changed Thomas's mind. And today, there are a few million Thomas-loving Jesus followers in the nation of India. The wounded appearance of the world right now demands that we change our minds. This pandemic demands that we go beyond the mind that we currently have. You've all heard of the Big Bang. Well, it's time to make the big shift. We need to shift from an economy that's focused on consuming, which we see now as highly vulnerable to any severe social trauma, to an economy that's based on creating. Guarantee a universal basic income to everyone, not to mention health care and child care. You will begin to see people create a future for themselves and their planetary neighbors. Creative entrepreneurship will explode. Sure, some won't do so much at first, but so what? They'll buy stuff from the ones who are creating new things in the big shift. Even people who already have a lot will benefit. It's time to follow Jesus through some closed doors, leave death behind, and create a new future. Earlier this year, I told many of you about my one-time mentor and friend, Dr. James Lowy of Washington University and George Mason University. Also, President Jimmy Carter's advisor on an effort to create a National Peace Academy. Jim kept a secret his whole life. He did not tell anyone until a few days before he died that he was there on the balcony where Dr. King was murdered, holding his leader's head with a towel he had retrieved from his motel room next door. Take a look at the famous photo. You can see Jim there. He went on to live a life dedicated to peace and justice making. I think Jim saw something nobody else could see. The African American spiritual says, "Were you there when they nailed him to the tree?" But the spiritual also says, at the very end, in a 6th stanza, "Were you there when he rose up from the dead?" Were you? Are you? Can you imagine Jesus rising within you in this terrible time in the planet's history? We need to see Jesus rising from within you. Everybody you know, and some you don't know, need to see this in you. You need to see this resurrection within you. Everyone needs to imagine that we can rise up from this death and create a new personal and planetary life. Amen.